This week on Dateline Abuja, we ask a very simple question. Can MSMEs survive in Nigeria? The short answer is yes. However, it's going to take a lot of out-of-the-box thinking. In fact, my guest on the program says small business owners should assume there is no box at all. The federal government has disbursed the Micro and Medium Enterprises Survival Fund in the nation's capital. Not so bad, but there are bigger problems these business owners face. Insecurity, economic downturn, and unfriendly business policies. My guest is the program's director, National MSME Clinics, Mr. Tola Johnson, and he walks us through long-term solutions to these challenges and will not mind an extension on the MSME Survival Fund. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Magwa. The MSME Survival Fund was created to keep businesses afloat in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. How effective have the survival funds for MSMEs been on these businesses so far? We'll get to that shortly, but first, from the nation's seat of power, the President and indeed all Nigerians are mourning the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Attahiru Ibrahim, who died in an unfortunate plane crash alongside 10 other officers. This week, the new Chief of Army Staff was appointed by the President. He is Major General Farouk Yahaya. It's time for our Abuja Wrap. President Muhammadu Buhari met with the President of the Central African Republic. The meeting, which was held behind closed doors, was also attended by the President's Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jeffrey Onyama, Minister of Defense, Retired Major General Bashir Magashi, and Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu. The President also met with the Chairman of the Presidential Council of Libya, Mohammed Yunus Menfi, where he stressed the stability of Libya has implications for countries in the Lake Chad Basin, including Nigeria. The President also met behind closed doors with Ghana's President, Nana Akufo-Addo, who is the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States. He was at the State House to discuss issues concerning the sub-region with the Nigerian leader. The President also met with some African leaders under the Lake Chad Basin Commission. At the opening of the summit, the President called on the international community to support Chad to conclude the proposed 18 months transition from military to democratic government in a peaceful manner. The meeting, which was in person, has in attendance the presidents of the Central African Republic and Niger Republic, the Chadian leader, chairman of the Presidential Council of Libya, and a representative of the President of Cameroon.
It must be stated that the sanctity of the Chadian constitution is the supreme guiding document defining the social contract in the country must be respected. It is imperative to reiterate the need for inclusivity and dialogue among the various segments of the Chadian national life to ensure that grievances and feelings of exclusion are addressed. This will engender national rebirth, social cohesion, and the assurance of a shared common goal among Chadians.
Following the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, and other officers in a plane crash, representatives of the Nigerian Governors Forum paid a courtesy visit to President Buhari. The delegation includes the Chairman and Governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, Yobe State Governor Maima Labuni, and the Governor of Niger State, Alhaji Abubakar Sani Bello.
This is a situation that only God knows when it will happen, and it happened. And it happened at a time when the security situation in the country is a fundamental issue. And to lose such a choice officers just increase our problem. But we know what we are in for, and we will continue to work hard and pray hard so that God will give us the power to appreciate and apply ourselves to the problems. The people who elected us, they know the promises we made within the time the circumstances under which we find ourselves. We will keep on trying. We know what we have promised within the time limitation and resources available, and we will continue to do our best. I thank you very much for this visit, and I am very pleased you thought about it and about visiting the families. Thank you very much for your concern.
Some leaders of the All Progressives Congress, including the national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and party chieftain Chief Bisi Akonde, were also in the State House to pay the president a condolence visit over the death of the Chief of Army Staff and other military officers. A 3-day special prayer for the late Chief of Army Staff and other military officers was held by the Nigerian Army. Flags were flown at half-mast for the 3 days of mourning.
I admonished every officer and personnel of the armed forces to take courage, to rise in faith. And I'd like every officer and personnel of the armed forces to remain steadfast, because that which we desire to achieve by way of protecting lives and properties of all Nigerians in line with our constitutional mandates will be achieved.
President Buhari has appointed Major General Farouk Yahaya as the new Chief of Army Staff. 24 hours after his appointment, he assumed office. Major General Yahaya led the senior officers to observe a minute's silence in honor of his predecessor, late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru.
May the soul of General Ibrahim Atahiru and all other officers who died with him rest in perfect peace.
President Buhari says he believes Nigeria will overcome the current security challenges and is asking Nigerians to commit to a common endeavor in the national interest. The president, who was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, stated this during the opening session of the Special Summit on National Security organized by the House of Representatives.
I am certain that we shall overcome, just as we have done many times throughout our history. However, success at this time requires that we set aside all other considerations and commit ourselves to a common endeavor in the national interest.
Members of civil society groups in their dozens marched through the streets of Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, demanding justice and accountability for victims of violent conflicts and mass killings across the country. The protesters read out names of over 2,000 people who've either been killed by terrorists, bandits, or security operatives in the last 2 years.
Very rapidly. In 2019, for example, by our count, we lost quite like 2,000 Nigerians. In 2021, the first 4 months of 2021, we have already lost 2,000 people, 2,000 Nigerians to mass atrocities. That's why we are insisting that something has to be done. This is a nation that is not at war.
Yeah.
President Muhammadu Buhari celebrated Children's Day with a solemn promise to bequeath a better country for the present and future generations. As part of the activities to commemorate Children's Day, observed on May the 27th, the president hosted a group of Nigerian children at the State House. The vice president was also in attendance during the brief ceremony. Welcome back. Now to the MSME Survival Fund. Our feature story looks at the 30,000 naira grants given to small registered Nigerian business owners. Who are the beneficiaries, and are they satisfied with what they're getting? Should the government give more money? Do they have the capacity to? How is it being monitored, and by who? Can the money go round to all those who deserve it? Well, we caught up with a few beneficiaries in the FCT. Please watch this.
Artisans and transport operators from different parts of the Federal Capital Territory are here for the 30,000 naira grant promised by the federal government as plans to cushion the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. The recipients applaud the government for the scheme, but like Oliver Twist, they are asking for more.
This is the first time, whether you believe it or not, we see a government that cared for the artisans. This is the first time we see a government that decided to bring themselves down to our level. So we have to have patience. We have to have patience. We have to have patience. We did not force them to come and snap us. We did not force them, to pay those they have paid. We did not force them to come here today. So, let us be patient. The one we are dealing to you people, those of you from the government, is that many have gotten and many have not gotten. Please take our message and our cry back to the government that we thank them for the one they have done, but we are still appealing to them to pay those that have been captured, and those other people that have not been captured, they should make arrangements that those people will be captured. We are begging, we are not quarreling.
I want to appreciate the federal government for this kind gestures to us. They came to us as artisans that they want to enumerate most people so that they will give them a token of 30,000 naira, and they carried out the data for about, we are in the association registered with 200 names, about 190 names were enumerated, the data we are taking, and about less than 25 of us anyway, I am included, who have this money. We receive a lot from this money. So what we are actually telling the government is we appreciate government for this kind gesture to us, and we want to ask them that they should do more so that many others will get this money. I was in their shoe. I feel so bad when that money was not with me, but when that money got into my account, I know what it has done for me. So them that have not got the money, they are feeling the same thing. So please, government, the federal government, the leaders of this government, they should make effort to give more to those people who have not received and their data have been taken.
The committee assures the artisans that the grant would go round everyone as it's done in batches.
The most important thing for everyone to know is these things we are doing it in batches, and we have already captured the MSMEs, and then what we are coming here to do today is to know exactly whether the first batch of this segment is being paid or not, whether they have received their money or they have not received their money, and then we'll be able to know where we stop, how are we going to take it up, how are we going to pay the remaining people who have been captured, because as far as we are concerned, each state was giving a number, Abuja was giving a number, and we'll make sure that the numbers given to Abuja will be met. So the essence of doing this is to identify whether the Bank of Industry were able to pay those people that were captured, and if the Bank of Industry were unable to pay some, we'll take the list of those people who were captured and they were not paid, so that we ensure that the Bank of Industry are able to pay these people. Because why we came here is just to ensure that since that the government is doing, we are monitoring it to ensure that what is supposed to be for the organizations, what's supposed to be for the artisans are getting it. That is the whole essence of us coming here.
The Artisan Support Scheme, which is a one-off grant, is just a part of the MSME Survival Fund program.
Small businesses need all the help they can get, and to be fair, the federal government is reaching out to a lot of them. What you may not know is that there's an actual target number of businesses to reach with all kinds of interventions and a termination period for these interventions. Mr. Tola Johnson, my guest on the program, manages Nigeria's MSME clinics. He walks us through how much work has been done, what plans are for the future, and what business owners should be doing right now with the state of the nation. Mr. Johnson, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's talk about the MSME Survival Fund.
Correct.
We're talking over 900,000 people have benefited so far. What was the target initially for the fund?
Okay, so the initial targets were about 1.3 million total beneficiaries. Those were our targets, 1.3 million.
What was the time frame?
Well, the initial time frame for this particular scheme was 3 months. But you must agree with me that in those 3 months we had almost 6 weeks of the NSAS issue. So the NSAS saga ensured that we couldn't really do anything whilst all that was going on, basically. And so whilst we even started this, on the scheme, there were times where we realized that we needed more time for certain things. We're about winding up the scheme now. I believe that in the next in the next 1 month, the scheme will have been probably wounded up, and a report will have been presented to Mr. Vice President and President.
So far, would you say that you've made an impact with small businesses in the country? Has there been a significant growth? Because prior to this, that was a major issue with everyone. We don't have access to credit. So since the scheme started, would you say you've been successful in ensuring that these MSMEs in Nigeria, which we have described as the engine room of Nigeria's economy, has it made a significant progress, in the growth of MSMEs in the country?
Okay, so one thing I would say the Survival Fund has done is it has helped sustain jobs. What it did was, especially look at the payroll support, where we say we're paying 10 staff of different companies, in some cases 50,000 to augment whatever the owner of the business was paying, 50,000 for 3 months. So we were able to reach our targets. As I speak to you, there's a huge clamor for this to be replicated. People are saying that it should be extended for maybe another year or two, basically. But we feel like we've been able to reach our targets. Basically, we're not able to pay everybody, but we're able to help minimize or help cushion the effects of COVID on a lot of those businesses.
So have businesses grown?
Well,
because that was the reason for this fund, was to grow businesses. Have you succeeded in that?
Now, where you don't grow, at least you don't die. You don't stop existing. So now, our businesses grown. I mean, time will tell if by what we did with the Survival Fund, the actual effect. But what I can tell for sure, 100%, is that a lot of businesses did not lay off as a result of our intervention, and that was very crucial.
So they're surviving. They may not be thriving.
A lot of people have survived, but it can be better.
They could thrive.
Yes.
Is there a plan to take it to that level?
Oh, so discussions are ongoing on the effect. We've seen the positive effects of the scheme. So discussions are ongoing to see how we can maybe institutionalize this and make this maybe something more regular in the country, because the effect of this COVID-19 will be with us for a long time. I'm thinking in another maybe 2, 3, 4 years time, basically. So there's nothing we do that will be too much, basically, especially with regards to the MSME space.
In your view, should this be extended? Do you think it should? I know that the conversation is, it's coming up. People are saying, wait, okay, so if we were able to, because your target was 1.3 million,
yes,
and you're able to do over 900,000 in yes, time space, and you yes, still have a few more weeks, yes, to yes, complete this. So some people are saying, well, if they're given more time, it could actually make more impact. In your view, should this be extended?
Okay, so what I would say to that is that it should be extended, but reworked in certain ways.
In what ways?
Now, what I would say is that, you see, for every scheme, you should take a breather and look at what went right and what didn't go right. So audit the entire system and see where you got it right and where you almost got it right. So for me, I think we need a break and to dissect the entire scheme, basically speaking, and how we got to where we got to, and see if we intend to now maybe rework it, revamp it, and make it something even better than what it is that.
What would you add or remove to make it better?
Now, for us, we know that the most popular of the schemes, you know, there are different tracks. The most popular of the tracks was the one you just mentioned, the payroll track, because that just helps businesses pay salary of their staff. And we know that there's this one for the artisan and transport as well, equally very popular amongst MSMEs. But it is good to sit down as a team, look at what we have done right, and look at what you have not done right, and look and maybe study the M&E reports, the reports from the field, so that it helps you. You see, sometimes you might think you have done something fantastic, and everybody's saying that's a good job, that's a good job. But you see, you might miss the fact that they are just by adding one or two things, you might get to almost utopia. I mean, basically.
Let's talk about Anambra's shared facility.
Correct.
That's what's coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah. It's a private sector, federal government, state government arrangement. Now, the state government provides the facility. Anambra state government have been very cooperative. They gave us a facility. Now, they also identified a cluster. The cluster they wanted was leather and shoe cluster.
Okay.
The federal government on its own now went to its partners, its private sector partners, to say, we need you to help with equipment in this facility. So what the federal government has done is that they've brought equipment that are not easily or readily available in Anambra. Ugbenike, for instance, when we spoke to some of the shoe producers there, they said it takes them about 1 week to make about 50 shoes. But now, federal government is making available equipment that will make 1,500 shoes within an hour. So if you're looking at the maths, somebody manually does a shoe for 50 pairs of shoes in a week. Now, bringing something that will ensure that those things are done 1,500 shoes in an hour, basically. So at the end of the day, huge capacity, about 206,000 production capacity every month. At the end of the year is about 2.4 annually. Now, what that will do is that the number of hours you are supposed to spend, the number of hours you are supposed to spend making 50 shoes, basically, if you're supposed to spend about 18 hours or 18 days making those shoes, this equipment will do it within a few hours. So we are hoping that the entire Ugbenike community, Anambra State itself, and the entire Nigeria will take advantage of these facilities.
So you're going to move to other parts of the country with this particular plan, with this particular type of plan?
Oh, yes.
So you're identifying clusters?
Oh, yes. So what we do is that we allow the states to tell us their clusters. So you see, we don't dictate for the state. The state knows the states better than the federal. So you identify the clusters and tell us what will be suitable for that cluster. So we usually what our own usual concern is that whatever cluster is being identified must be somewhere very close to the MSMEs. You don't go and give us somewhere that is very far, nobody can get there, no access, no accessibility, and all whatnot. So if you tell us that we have these 40,000 MSMEs that have been here, they've been doing their business, not bothering anybody, but what they lack is this equipment to ensure that their work is more productive. Those are the kind of things we're looking at.
Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson, for being with us on Dateline Abuja, and good luck.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
If you're a small business owner, our hearts go out to you right now. It must be hard. But as with all things in Nigeria, you have to ride it till wheels fall off. Just keep going. Pretend there's no box. Look, there are people thriving in these extenuating circumstances. Not just surviving, thriving. Find a way, legally. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Megwa.